Welcome, Jason Bradshaw and Scott McKain here again today. And today we are talking about another critical aspect that impacts all people involved with a professional practice or small business or entrepreneurs, and that is competition. Jason, great to see you. Hello to you in Australia today.
Hello, Scott. Thanks for taking the time for us to catch up and share our thoughts on competition. And for our Australian audience, this is going to be an instant replay for you guys because I'm trying to do the tech and talk, and it's just not working. So I'm going to get a tech crew to deal with that tomorrow. And by crew, I mean my other half, and I'll focus on our conversation on competition.
Jason, for those that aren't aware, that follow me but may or may not follow Jason, I guess, is that Jason has had many jobs in many of the world's leading corporations, but most recently was Chief Customer and Marketing Officer of Volkswagen Group Australia. And Jason, as I think about businesses that have intense competition, it's hard for me to imagine any industry that has more intensive competition than automotive.
Well, the Australian automotive market, in fact, is the most competitive market in the world. There are over 60 different automotive brands on sale in Australia. And to put that in context, there's only 1 million cars sold each year in Australia. In total, that includes private sales, corporate sales, government sales. In fact, it's slightly under 1 million. It's 900 and something thousand. That's a drop in the ocean for, say, in the US, where there are 25 brands on sale, and they sell millions of cars each year. So talk about competition, 60 different brands to compete with from an automotive perspective, but you can still stand out, and you don't have to play gimmicks. You don't have to do silly things to get attention.
I'm fascinated. Why are there more brands in Australia than in the States?
Maybe people like coming here in the winter. Yeah. There is no logical reason for it. The market size certainly doesn't dictate having 60 brands. The profit margins don't dictate having extra brands. The only thing that I can think of is winter in Europe and in the US is much better enjoyed in the summer of Australia, because that has to be a deciding factor in the decision. That's for sure.
Jason, as you analyzed strategically the position of whether it's when you're working for Volkswagen or Target or Telstra, whoever, or in your own small businesses, how much did you focus on the competition? And probably we ought to focus more on your latest work, because did your viewpoint evolve over a period of time in terms of how much attention you paid to competition?
Look, I think like all of us, there was a time where I thought if I just mimicked the competition, if I could do what they were doing but slightly better, slightly cheaper, then that was the winning formula. But one of the benefits that I've had over my career, whether it be in media or automotive or big box retail, is that consumer research shows time and time again in every industry that the customer is not judging their interaction with you based on your direct competitor. So if you're Walmart, the person shopping at Walmart is not saying, "Are you better than Kmart?" They're saying, "Are you delivering the best experience I've had compared to whatever their previous best experience was?" That could be an airport lounge. It could be the gas station. It could be the Whole Foods. And I see this come through time and time again. And so when you start thinking about it, customers are judging you not based on your direct competitor, but rather on the best experience that they've ever had. Then you very quickly learn that paying detailed attention to what your direct competitor's doing is probably not the way to win in 2022.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've worked with a couple different groups that will take their team to a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons, and have them stay there, not because they're in the hotel business, but because they want them to see what an extraordinary customer experience is. And what you say, I think, is so spot on in that we tend to focus so intently, particularly in small business, on our customer. If I have a dry cleaners, I'm intently focused on the dry cleaners that's around the block, but not necessarily on creating distinction that would attract more customers. And one of the things when I was studying, what made businesses iconic, one of the aspects that I saw there was that the iconic performers were aware. I mean, it's certainly not saying ignore your competition, but they weren't so intently focused on, the dry cleaners around the corner now charges $1.79 for shirts rather than $1.89 for shirts. I better cut my price, right? I mean, they found a way to transcend their competition. Hey, I want to say hello real quick to somebody that's saying hello to us and talking about this being a challenging industry and all the things. Paul Blair in the UK is watching it on right now. So we've got Jason in Australia, me here in the States in Vegas, and Paul watching in the UK. We're transversing the globe here today, Jason. So
and faster than the Concorde ever could. So hi, Paul. Lovely to see you on today.
And by the way, if you have any comments, I'm not getting them from every one of the places that we're on, because we're on several different Facebook pages. We're on YouTube Live. We're on Twitter Live. We're on LinkedIn Live. But by the way, Jason, I got a notice from this is kind of behind the scenes, but I got a notice that Facebook StreamYard is having some trouble today posting on Facebook pages. So we may need to repost this because some of the Facebook pages are encountering difficulty in doing live streams today. But at any rate, that's such an important aspect, because I think the tendency is that we are going to be focused on our competition, and that's who we have to beat to get the customer's response. But rather, it is, customers blend. They blend every interaction that they have, and then that becomes the standard. I tell financial advisors all the time that, your competition isn't the treatment that your client is getting from a different advisor. Your competition is the level of experience they get at Ritz-Carlton. It's the level of experience they get when they buy a Porsche or a Mercedes or a whatever. That's who your competition is. So if you're unaware of how those organizations are treating their customers, you're really missing the boat in terms of how you're being evaluated.
Absolutely. And I think the other part is, if we focus so much on our competition, unless it's a publicly traded company, we don't know whether they're profitable. There's a strip mall just down the road from me. It's a beautiful strip mall, about 10 years old, high exposure, lots of entry points. In real estate terms, it's brilliant, right? There's no reason why a business wouldn't want to be here. High exposure, high foot traffic, blah, blah, blah. All the things that I'm sure the real estate agents listening could tell us about. And on that strip mall, there are multiple name brand fast food outlets. Not one, not two, three or four. They all are busy. And I think it would be fair to say, if I was looking at my competition and I was in the fast food business, I'd say, oh, I want to be just like them. The problem is, and I know this through some work that I was doing recently, that they're not all profitable. In fact, arguably the second biggest brand on the strip is losing money every single month. So just doing what your competition is doing, just being focused on what they're doing, doesn't necessarily lend itself to the most profitable outcome. And as business owners, our first job has to be to make money, because it doesn't matter how much of an impact we want to have on the world. If we can't actually finance our impact, then it's hard to make it happen, right?
Absolutely. By the way, if you have questions for us, please post them in the comments. We're hopefully getting all of them. As I mentioned earlier, there evidently is some kind of challenge with Facebook today, but if we see them, we'll certainly post them and certainly talk about them. So it's fascinating to me how relatively simple it is to get great ideas from companies not in your industry. yet so few organizations do it, and so few entrepreneurs and small business leaders do it, simply because tunnel vision, tradition. We only look in our industry. We don't transcend that. Jason, we were talking yesterday about how many these are things that are not taught, right? I mean, you can go and you can study and get your licenses and approvals to become a financial advisor, but they don't have any courses on how you stand out from other advisors. You can become a dentist, but there's no courses in dental school about how to make your dental practice stand out. I think instead you look at other dentists or you look at other financial advisors and think, well, if it's working for them, I'd better do this too. And to your point, which I want you to expand on, it may not be working for them. We just don't know, right? I mean, aren't there situations that you've seen where people assume that a particular promotion or a particular approach is working and it's not?
Oh, absolutely. And it depends how you define working, right? And I can't share names, but I can share that there's an organization that has over 1 million people come to their website every single month, and they've never made a profit.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I would love for 1 million people to come to my website every single month.
Yeah.
I guarantee you I'd be making a profit if they did, right? Because again, where is your focus? If my focus is on what's my competitor's website doing, what's my competitor's traffic, what's my competitor's new thing to get people's attention, and that's all I focus on, well, then I forget about the most important part, the money. How do I make the profit? Because the profit is not evil. Profit is important, essential even, to doing all the things that we want to do. And so, time and time again, in every industry, there are levers that you can pull that will get you an avalanche of new customers.
Yeah.
But they need to be profitable. And certainly, in my corporate career, I've had bosses and colleagues say to me, why don't we just do what that brand is doing? And my answer has always been, well, is it going to make us money? Is it going to advance the purpose of the organization? I would much rather serve 10,000 people than 1 million people and make a small profit out of each one of those than to serve 1 million people and go broke trying to serve them.
Yeah. Paul makes an important point here. Need to look at transferable practices, but too many businesses are blinkered, but we've always done it this way. Gosh, we run into that all the time, don't we, Jason? That perspective that, we've always done it this way. It's one of the things I tell groups all the time is working harder on the old plan doesn't ensure that you're going to be successful, particularly when the old plan no longer applies, no longer works. But I think a lot of leaders, a lot of entrepreneurs just think, oh gosh, if we work harder, if we sell harder, then it's going to be. I look at, and one of the places we're on live right now is on LinkedIn, and good grief, every day I wade through these spam messages, these spam emails, these spam connections on LinkedIn where they're asking, Jason, this is one of the things that's irritating to me. I'd love to pick your brain. Click here to get time on my calendar, or please give me your phone number so we can set up a phone call.
Scott, I think you're missing one. Sorry to cut you off there. I think you're missing one, though. The key for me is I've spent lots of time exploring your business. Would you like to write a book?
Yeah,
now, they could probably be forgiven for not knowing that I've written a book, but the number of bestsellers that you have, and it's on your LinkedIn cover.
But it shows that they're lying. Yeah. That's the other thing that gets me. I've looked at your material, and what you need is a book. No, if you'd looked at my material, you would know that Jason Bradshaw has a book. You would know that Scott McKain has a book. So it just, what we have to understand is when we see in organizations that the best ones bring value first before they hit you up with a sales pitch, it's so important and so critical. Hey,
Yeah.
a big hello to our friend Robert Brooker. Robert is watching. Yes, Robert, you're exactly right. Sometimes thinking thinking is a painful thing, and folks don't do it. Paul has a question, and Jason, I think this is right in your wheelhouse. Having been a chief marketing officer for a major corporation, where does marketing end and sales begin? What's your perspective on it?
Well, I don't think there is an end. I think that there is a change in the purpose of the activity. Marketing starts with its purpose being to attract new people to your organization. But once the prospect becomes a customer, then marketing has a job to do to continue to reinforce the brand, to reinforce the reasons in the first place that a prospect decided to become a customer. And sales has the job to make sure that they don't break the promises that marketing created. So this is something that we will cover in the Standout Earn More workshop, but alignment, clarity of why you're doing something is essential. It's why all the great businesses are great, truly great. Scott, as you know, because I dragged you along to one of the events, I took a large number of people through a very exclusive Disney Institute custom course, not a public course, Disney Institute program for a number of years. And in every one of those instances, it didn't matter whether it was year 1, year 5, I always had someone in the audience, one of my guests, say, "We're not in the movie business. We're not in the theme park business. Why do you keep dragging us to Florida?" Which from Australia is quite a hike. 15 hours to get into LA and then another 6 into Florida. Why do you keep doing this? What can we possibly learn from Mickey Mouse? Well, how long have they been successful? And it's an organization that, despite their success, can teach very clearly what happens when you lose purpose, when you lose the clarity of vision. The most recent CEO is a classic example of that. Completely different approach to business to the previous one, who's now the new one. And the first thing that Bob Iger did when he came back was, we need to get back to what Disney is at its core. And so, the reason Disney can be in so many different industries is because they have absolute clarity around what it is that they wake up every day to do. And whether you're in sales or whether you're in marketing, you know how your job is part of that bigger picture. And when you can get your organization all going in that same way towards that bigger picture, whatever that might be for your organization. And this is true whether you're a 5-person business, 500,000 person business, you need to get clarity. I would also argue, Scott, that even if you're a solopreneur, you need to have clarity is probably even more important. Yes. Because there are so many crystal shiny balls out there that are trying to get your attention as a solopreneur every day. The promises of, buy this system and it will be easier. Buy this system and it will be easier. Do this and I'll get you more customers. So sales and marketing don't start and stop. It should be a constant conversation that you're having with a customer and prospects and customers to reinforce the value, the reason to do business with you. Why are you distinctive versus just another whatever you might be selling?
I like what Paul said here. I've had the same. He's meeting from LinkedIn because he's a business coach. So he gets contacted by people telling him he needs a business coach. So it's spot on. Jason, why don't you tell a little bit about, if you like this information and you find it to be of value, one of the great things is that Jason and I are putting on a summit next week, and it's absolutely free. So, Jason, tell us a little bit more about Standout, Earn More, and how folks can be involved in what we're doing next week.
Fantastic, Scott. So standoutearnmore.live is the URL, the website that you need to go to get your free ticket to attend our online workshop that's happening over 3 days. It's the general admission ticket is free. It's 3 hours each day for 3 days. In the US, that's December 15, 16, and 17 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. daily. And in Australia, it's the next day, of course, because we're ahead with time zones. So it's December 16, 17, and 18 from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And Paul, I cannot do the arithmetic on what the UK time zones would be, but I'm sure you can work it out. At the event, over those 3 days, we're going to explore 3 core topics: how to generate repeat and referral business. So, it doesn't matter what business publication you pick up, what news publication you pick up, everyone's talking about the recession. In Australia, we once had a recession we had to have, so I don't want to go down using those terms again. But whether we're going into a recession or not, the simple fact is it is harder than ever to attract and retain customers. So we're going to spend some time looking at how to generate repeat and referral business. We will also talk about how to attract and retain great employees, great freelancers, great people to do work in your business. And then the final section or pillar of content is how to stand out from your competition. And there's ways you can stand out that will help your business, and of course ways that won't help your business. We're going to focus on those that will help your business really be distinctive in the marketplace so that you can earn more. Now, earning more can mean profit, it can be more credibility, it can mean whatever you want it to mean, but ultimately we're going to bring those 3 pillars together: how to generate repeat and referral business, how to attract and retain great employees, and how to stand out from the competition at the Stand Out Earn More workshop. It's live, delivered from Las Vegas and the Gold Coast here in Australia, and we'd absolutely love to have you there. Of course, it's free, like we said, for the general admission ticket at standoutearnmore.live.
I'm so excited about this because Jason and I have worked together extensively over the past several years, and this is really a special privilege because Jason's depth and breadth of experience, from having his own businesses to working for world's leading corporations to being in the C-suite of the world's largest car manufacturer. My experience in small business of my own, as well as working with top organizations, gives us the ability to kind of, for lack of a better term, cherry pick better practices. I always try not to say best practices, because if something's best, that means you can't do better than that. It is the best. So I'm always looking for better practices, because better practices also can be improved upon. So we're going to try to share so many better practices with you about ideas, things that you can do. And then also, to have the different folks that we have already got signed up and hope to sign up for the free program, the ability for them to share with each other and share ideas with each other. I think it's an extraordinarily important aspect. Hey, here's our friend Ted Stark, who has already registered and got the VIP upgrade. So Ted, woohoo! That's our line. That's very cool. So we are so glad to have you. And Ted, I was back channeling with Jason, telling him what a great guy you are, and how much we appreciate you being a part of this and your success with your business as well. So Jason and I were talking about you before we went on here. So I'm really glad. So please join us. Join Ted Stark and be a part of the program. So we're very, very excited about that.
Ted, thanks so much for upgrading. And just for everyone's knowledge, the VIP program gives attendees an additional hour of Q&A time, so some hot seats where you get to ask your questions, and it's really quite an interactive session. I say an hour, but it probably will go longer, knowing the quality of people that are going to be in that session, and also how much value that we want to deliver. And also VIP members get 90 days access to the event recording. So, I don't know about you, but when I go to events, especially online events, I find myself getting distracted from time to time, and then afterwards think, oh, I wish I could go back and watch part of that event again. So that's something that we provide in the VIP upgrade, and you can watch it on repeat for 90 days if you really want to, or just go back to it when you need a reminder.
Dwayne has a question for us. Can we sign up now and upgrade later? And of course.
Absolutely. You'll receive an email before the event starts with the option to upgrade. So we'll make that as simple and easy as possible for you.
Hey, Robert, I've been following your posts here too, and it's you're very kind, and I appreciate. Robert said in a previous post about 3 cheers for self-deprecating humor, and I could not agree with you more, Robert. It is the best kind of humor when we see our own mistakes and failings and challenges and everything else. So it's always great seeing you, Robert. Thank you for joining us here today, and thanks to everybody that's joined here today. Jason. One of the things that I think in terms of as we get close to wrapping up here today, one of the things that I think that's important for folks to understand is that when we say don't focus on your competition, it's not, we are not at all suggesting be unaware of your marketplace. There's a difference between having competitive knowledge and being competitively obsessed. And if there's anything I think we're going to encourage you to be obsessed about your customer. Be obsessed about the team that serves your customer. Be obsessed about the people aspect. Base that and understand competitive, knowledge of your marketplace and competitive situations. Don't obsess on it. But yet I see so many entrepreneurs that think, the only way we can grow is to take business away from the competition. Well, maybe you grow the pie. Maybe you find people out there that aren't buying from your competition at all. It's amazing how we can grow when we have that kind of mentality, rather than the marketplace is so finite. The only thing that I can do is I've got to have a lower price than my competitor. I have to have more locations than my competitor. I have to have. We need to wipe the slate clean and rethink some of those things. And I really believe that's one of the things that Standout Earn More program is going to help people do, is to have a clean slate and really rethink their business and reimagine their business.
Robert, thanks so much. I'm appreciative of you getting the book, and the play on words. For those that don't know, my book's called it's all about sex. That's CEX, the essential guide to customer and employee experience. Let's just say it was an interesting conversation with the publisher when we came up with that title. But it is an absolute golden title to use in the opening of a keynote in Las Vegas the night after a team's had their annual awards dinner. They say the closing keynote is one of the hardest that you can give. I would argue that one of the hardest you can give is in Las Vegas after they've had their awards dinner the night before. So I needed a good title.
I would not argue with that. The awards dinner and the after dinner reception. And then what goes on after the after dinner reception here in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Well, in summary, and thanks to everybody for joining us today. In summary, what we've been talking about is the challenges that organizations of all sizes, but particularly smaller businesses, individual professional practices, and the like, have with competition. And what you are hopefully hearing loud and strong from both Jason and myself is that you need to be aware of the competition, but you can't focus on the competition if you want to stand out and if you want to earn more. And I want to reemphasize something Jason said earlier, and it's something that we both really believe in. When we say earn more, obviously we all want to earn more money. I mean, if you're in business and you don't want to earn more money, there should be a different program for you than this one. But earning more could be earning more respect in your industry. It could be earning more freedom, the ability to take time off and to have a personal life. It could be earning more customers, that more customers become your advocates in the marketplace. So it will vary from entrepreneur to entrepreneur what earning more means, but the way you get there is by standing out. by having more customers or more of the employees that you'd like to attract choose you instead of your competitor. And those are the very specific strategies that we're going to be sharing with you at this summit. You can learn more about it by just going to standoutearnmore.live. But the best news for you is the summit is absolutely free to attend. Paul, I love that. I should have said that. Earning more security as well. That you feel more secure in what you do. The financial security. It's just, gosh, there's so much more you can create when you feel secure about where you are and what's the future going to bring. So all of that is what we're going to be discussing in depth at this program coming up next week, and it's absolutely free for you to attend. So, Jason, any last words before we sign off?
I just want to take the opportunity to remind everyone that your business, whether you're the only person in town that does what you do, or whether there's 100 other people in town that do what you do, you can grow your business. You can stand out, and it doesn't have to be at the detriment of your competition. We're not focused on taking business away from them. We're focused on building you a stronger business, helping you stand out and to have more of what you desire from your business.
That's a great close. I just want to end by putting up here what our friend Dwayne Long just put. Jason, you may not be familiar. He was a football star, both in college and in professional football here in the States. And he also simultaneously played Major League Baseball. Which is incredibly unusual to be a two-sport star. His name is Deion Sanders. And because of his flamboyant, unique, distinctive personality, his nickname was Neon Deion Sanders. He then decided to go to one of the historically black universities and coach their football program. Turned the program around, became incredibly successful. Now he's going to one of the worst football programs in America at the University of Colorado. He is going to try to bring his uniqueness and distinction to them and turn them around. And Dwayne posts here, he was talking about making the change. And did he make the change because they paid him more at Colorado? And he said he never chased the bag, meaning money. The bag has always chased him because of his uniqueness and how his uniqueness brought results. His distinction got more good high school players to be interested in going to college at where he was coaching and playing for him. So the distinction that he brought has made his career. He's also known as Prime Time. It's another example of how standing out made him earn more, and he wasn't chasing the money chased him, as Dwayne said, because of his distinction, because of his ability to stand out. Well, we're going to have more tomorrow, same time, right here, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific in the United States, and early in the morning Australia time tomorrow. So we will be checking in with you again tomorrow to talk more about ways that you can stand out and earn more. In the meantime, join us at standoutearnmore.live. And thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.